This has a huge impact on the willingness of driver to spend that much or that much money. That was completely extraordinary. That won't happen again. Some of them want quality. Some of them want the cheapest option. As a garage, it's important that you are offering tires. Am I going to put part 1 tires on my 2 years old Evoque? Sounds crazy. The failure rate of EVs when they are presented for their very first MOT is higher than ICE presented for their first.
This episode is sponsored by BM Catalysts, Europe's leading manufacturer of catalytic converters, DPFs and front pipes, helping to keep vehicles running
greener and cleaner.
Ooh, other way around today. Welcome back to Garage Talk Unwrapped, the podcast with me, Vicky.
And me, Ben. In this episode, we're talking to Quentin Le Hetet, who is the company UK director at Jeeper. Now, Victoria, I'm guessing that you don't get involved with this podcast much because it's a lot about numbers.
Very funny.
Is that why you hit him downstairs?
Because Quentin's so good at explaining things, I could follow it very well. Thank you very much.
The assault downstairs wasn't very nice.
Okay, so when Quentin got here, because I'm so clumsy and he's so tall, so I'm half blaming him. When I gave him a hug, and then as I withdrew my arm, I knocked his glasses off his face. But he was very, very kind about it, so it's fine.
Yeah, he hasn't been since. I'm looking forward to talking at the end because, as you say, I know I had a bit of joke there about numbers with you because you're not very her favourite numbers. You're the words lady, and I'm the numbers person, so I'll just talk numbers 2, 4, 6, 8. But what I found was this spoke to everybody, even though he knows every single figure you can think of in the industry. This spoke to everybody. It was easy to understand.
Yeah, if you're a consumer, if you work in a garage, if you just work in the industry in general, there are so many insights in this that you want to listen to.
So if you want to know what's happening in the UK car park market, listen to this. So welcome to Quentin Le Hetet from Jeeper. Quentin, straight into the podcast. For listeners who haven't come across Jeeper, what do you measure in the UK aftermarket and how do you gather the insights?
Yeah, so we do market research in everything linked to the automotive after sales. And how do we collect information? We interview from the base, if I can say that. So we interview drivers, we interview garage, motor factors to collect information and then provide back that information to the market. So we've got a call center in London where we interview garages from. And drivers, it depends how we need to do it. It could be online, it could be face-to-face.
Not while they're driving.
Not while they're driving, no.
That's the first question.
So you're doing the interviews via telephone, or do you send out surveys and things as well, or just?
We do, for drivers, we do that. So we send out we can send out surveys to their email address for them to answer. It depends the objective of the research, how many questions you need to ask and so on. You have to be careful because of their attention span that is limited. So depends of the level of engagement you need, how long you need them for, on the way you actually do it.
And obviously you mentioned the car park a lot with a C, just to point out to listeners with a C. What's the biggest change happening in the UK car park that garages actually feel over the next 3 to 5 years?
It's the direct impact of the lack of registration we had during COVID period in 2020, 2021 and 2022. For the 3 years in a row, more or less, we sold 1.6 million new cars. Back 2019, just before COVID, it was 2.3 million. Wow. So that's 700,000 difference per year. Time 3 years, that's 2.1 million cars that were simply never registered as 0 years old vehicles. So for the first few years after COVID, those cars were within the bracket, if we can say that, of the 0-4 years old brackets, and therefore going back, those cars generally goes back to the dealer. Okay, so the dealer really felt it. And now, as we are moving on, those cars now start to fall into the 5 to 9 years old car park, which is the type of cars garages will see coming into their workshops for potentially their first big mechanical issue, shock absorbers, clutch, that kind of thing. Okay, that's car park because of those lack of 2.1 million new cars. That age segment is shrinking in proportion, and what that means is that garages will see less of these cars, more of the 10 plus, potentially a bit more of the 4 and younger. But that has an impact because that's generally where the heavy mechanical stuff starts to happen. And those drivers generally want to have quality parts. premium brands, OE suppliers, and so on. While 10 plus, you just more or less going from an MOT to the next. You don't care so much about, or not as much at what kind of shock absorbers you put in your car. So it's quite important to have that direction in mind, that trend in mind, because just after COVID, the 5.9 was completely booming. As a result of it, and now it's the complete opposite that is
shrinking.
Okay. So that's very important to understand that, because this has a huge impact on the willingness of driver to spend that much or that much money, but also you as a garage to be able to offer different type of options that will meet their wallet portfolio, if we can say.
How do we get the balance back?
But we need to sell more cars, and the problem is that it won't happen overnight. It's an accumulation of years before this can happen. And someone in one of the presentations we were doing for our customers asked me, but when are we going to get back the level of proportion we had just after COVID for 5 to 9 years old cars? And I looked at it, and simply never.
Okay.
Really? We've got some forecast tools to kind of work out within the next 10 years what the car park will look like. We would have to sell from now, so 2026 to 2032, we have to sell more or less 2.5, 2.6 million new cars every year, so we can get back to that kind of proportion.
And that ain't gonna happen.
So that's not happening, basically. Wow. Okay, so the proportion of 5 to 9 years old cars that we had just after COVID, 2023, 2024, that was completely extraordinary in the literal sense of extraordinary. That won't happen again.
Do you think that's the biggest mismatch between what garages think is happening and what data suggests, or is there something else that's...
I think it's a realignment, and unfortunately, that's on a car segment where people will spend money and will have money to spend. So that's definitely is a bit of an issue. Now, having said that, what we see as well is that the average life expectancy of cars is increasing. People are keeping their car longer. We are not selling as many cars as we used to. Okay, if we go back 2016, 2017, we used to sell 2.6 million of vehicles, new passenger cars. Now we are selling almost 2.1, not quite, but almost. So if a car is not being if a car is not purchased new, this means that one car isn't being written off. If you see what I mean. So the car park is getting older, is aging, and there is a 10 plus and even a 15 plus proportion of car park that is increasing. So where there is a bit of a lack somewhere, there is actually an increase, a growth elsewhere.
Yeah.
So obviously that brings into the question of maintenance, because that is now key, obviously, to the older car park.
Completely.
How does that change the type of work and the customer conversation for the garage?
It's all about finding, and I think it sounds really stupid, I don't know, but basic to have kind of discovery talk with the customer, especially when you don't necessarily know them. But it's understanding what they stand for, because what they're here for, if I can say that. Some of them want quality, some of them want the cheapest option, but don't figure out on their behalf. Ask them. I think it's very important. You will have very different persona of people. And I think something important is that often people won't pick the lowest possible price. Some will, but some won't as well. Okay, and maybe there is an option in between the mega premium and the cheapest possible option. Okay, so I think the discovery discussion, the basic discussion to have with the customer on what they want for their car is important. Let's not assume that what the previous customer wants is what all the next customer wants as well. Yeah. And because one gave you a bit of a pain in the backside because of the price, all the other will as well. I think it's very important.
So one of the examples I use now is that whenever we go to a supermarket, I used to look at the price. I'll be honest, I used to look at the price of the product. Victoria now looks at the price per grams or per kg. And I think perhaps in motoring, we need to take that model in and say how much per the value of it. So that tyre may be 20 quid, but that's only going to last you 2 months. That tyre for 40 quid is going to last you a year. And that kind of evaluation, do you think that needs to be?
The tyre market is a very, very important market and a very cheap market in the UK. I mean, we've probably got one of the most over-spec car park. I wouldn't dare to say in the world, because I guess in the Middle East you might have a bit more over-spec market car park. But we've got a very, very. If you look at the price tag new of the park in the UK, I think it's a very premium market compared to France, Italy, Spain, even Germany, I would say. So that is important, and that's also very much due to finance, leasing, PCP, that kind of thing. People think they can afford the car, but when it comes to let's change now the four tires of my Range Rover Evoque, that's another story now. Okay, because have I got 1500 available right now? Maybe not. Am I going to put part one tires on my 2 years old Evoque? Sounds crazy. So I think really the tire example is a very good one.
Yeah.
I think there is really a need for education for drivers, educating the drivers about what a premium tires will do for you, what a budget brand will do for you, what a part one brand or part one tires will do for you. And that's what we have been seeing in our studies over the last 2-3 years, is the part one tires, because of inflation, cost of living, has been exploded. We estimate in 2024, it's over 14% of tire changes, part one tires were fitted. 14.
And there's nothing more wearing on tires than EVs now.
And there is now EV coming in. EV, if you look at it operation-wise, for young vehicles and servicing, there isn't much part that you need changing and replacing outside pollen filter. Potentially one of the first parts you will have to change are tires.
Yeah.
So in terms of, as a garage, it's important that you are offering tires, okay? And you need to be able to explain the value of tires to your customer. And very often we are always complaining about how expensive it is to run the car, to repair it. If we compare the UK with other markets that we also are investigate at JIPA, the UK market is the cheapest, as the lowest price for a tire workshop entry. Wow. And yet we probably have the most expensive car park.
That's crazy.
We always complain about the price, but actually it's more expensive in Spain, in Italy, where the car park is much older as well. So, that's something important. The garage has a responsibility for that.
Are you tired of chasing car parts over the phone? PartSync connects trade buyers with trusted suppliers in one platform. No calls, no delays, just parts. Get real choice, new, used or genuine OEM. Compare brands, warranty, price and delivery. Suppliers, connect with active trade buyers ready to buy your stock. PartSync, bringing the parts industry together. Book your demo at partsync.co.uk.
This isn't background noise. This is Garage Talk, the UK's independent automotive voice, now across 3 platforms. Garage Talk Radio streaming online on Alexa and catch up on Mixcloud. Garage Talk Unwrapped, the podcast, available on all good podcast platforms. Garage Talk Unwrapped, the video magazine. Watch and subscribe on YouTube. Breaking news, big conversations, real workshops, real stories. If you're in the trade, you should already be listening. Search Garage Talk. Turn it up, get involved.
So from what you're seeing, where are independents losing the most profit right now, and what's the most fixable cause?
I think tires definitely is somewhere to look at. Okay, I think having the discussion about the type of parts to use is also very important, and don't assume something for your customer is also important. So to me, these are the very easy, quick win, if we can say that. The training, being able to train staff to have that kind of discussion. Then a bit more longer term view is also how do you value yourself? I think it's very important, and we come back here to the labor rate. Again, you compare to France. You compare to let's compare to France, for example, where probably we get the closest cost of living comparison. it doesn't cost £50 an hour when you go to a French mechanic. It costs 80-90 euro an hour.
But they're covering their experience and training.
Of course, and they are looking at their overheads and they are looking at how much they should, based on my financial structure, this is how much I should be selling myself.
Yeah.
Not, Jackie over there is £40, Richard over there is £55, I'll be in the middle.
Yeah.
That doesn't work.
But we haven't got enough business experience in this industry, have we? That's one of the major problems.
No, indeed. That's why it's very important to, and it's easier to do it. It's easier to say it than to do it. Is to think business and potentially to find a mentor to speak with that has been there before and been able to support you if you feel you need the support business wise. Because a lot of people end up owning a garage, and they potentially starting in that same garage as an apprentice and walk up their ladder, which is great. But each step of the ladder, you also need the training that comes with it.
Yeah,
and we shouldn't be afraid to say, look, I can't do that and I need help. And
Absolutely.
But we've also got to educate the motorists to prevent problems rather than cure them.
indeed,
If we can start preventing a lot of the issues, that will bring down the price, because motoring, although it would be dear at the point of entry, but cheaper long term. The same with the parts as well. The cheapest isn't always best. It's an overall impression of your car, isn't it? Because it's the second biggest thing you'll ever buy.
yeah, completely. But if you look at, we did a research now a few years ago in Germany and in UK, describing the customer journey when purchasing tires. And what is interesting is, in German's mind, 4 millimeters is the strict minimum thread. 4 millimeters, and then you change your tires. In the UK, no one has an idea. The average driver doesn't even know what the average should be, and buy part worn tires in a greater proportion than anywhere else. And actually, those 4 millimeters tires are being shipped from Germany to the UK to be sold part worn.
Let's move on to diagnostics.
Always eyes lit up.
Our garage is still undercharging for it. And what are the best ways you see workshops positioning and communicating diagnostic value?
That's a good question. I think more and more you will need diagnostic as part of a normal service, and you need to value that. In French, it's funny, they use a specific word. They call it la valise. I'm gonna make you pay for la valise. We've got a fixed rate of about 80 euro. Whatever it is. And what they mean by la valise is the stuff, the stuff that you open. A valise is a luggage, sorry. Okay. So I'm opening my diagnostic tool, and that's my valise, if I can say that.
Okay.
And that's basically, it's a rate of 80. We start with 80, and then we'll see from there.
Okay.
And I think it's an interesting way of doing it, having a fixed rate, or whether it's 80 or something else. But I think more and more you will need those diagnostic tools anyway, and therefore you need to be able to value the fact that you have the equipment that potentially the guy who's £40 next door an hour doesn't have. So I think it comes with the whole value proposition that you're offering to your customers.
Yeah, I mean, they're giving it away for free in a lot of garages still, aren't they?
Yeah, they are. Yeah, and we had an article on Garage Insiders and Garage Talk about it as well. But also, it's the old, can you clear that code? Not what's the problem. The famous line in British garages is, can you clear that code for me? And I think what people are forgetting is, no, it's a problem. It might be a small problem, but you need to let it be diagnosed, and because it might be masking a bigger problem as well. And
completely,
diagnostics really is a tool that's not being used correctly, I think, in the UK.
No, and you've got too many cheap tools that you can buy on marketplaces where people try to figure that out by themselves. In the end, they end up most of the time at the garage asking them to clear the codes, and that's not how it should be.
And the biggest problem with diagnostics, of course, I'm going to bring you to it, is access. So where are we going with the access from the manufacturers?
That's a good question. That's two good questions in a row now.
We're on number 7. It's £7 in a good row.
No, but it's a huge battle.
Yeah.
I mean, being able to access that is super important. Being able to use a tool that enables you access to all brands as not only one brand is super important. I mean, it's a legislative nightmare, really.
That's why you got so many legislations out there now, and obviously
and this is why we need a strong federation to defend the
rights,
the industry, the independent industry, the IGA, the IAAF, and so on, in order to be able to fight on behalf of garages.
Do we suffer from too many authorities and federations that are kind of battling each other? Do you think that perhaps if they teamed up and there should be an overriding one, that would have a stronger message to government and to Europe itself?
I don't have the feeling that there are too many. No, I don't have the feeling there are too many. On the contrary, I think the more the better. Of course, depending on how many, but what we have now, I think, is the correct
amount,
correct structure.
And they've all got their own lanes that they're running in and campaigning against certain things. You think?
Yeah, I believe so. Yes. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's something we're doing right.
Yeah, it's always interesting, isn't it, with federations, because obviously everybody's after their own piece of the pie, and you have to be very careful because it can be overloaded. An MP is going to say, I've heard that off them, and the MPs at the end of the day are the ones we don't want to frustrate, because we want to get the message to them clearly. So
I think it's important to have a conjoint message when you are carrying the same message. But no, I think the way it is done and dealt with now is good. The issue is to be able to have that voice. Because the independent sector is always is not quite the OEM sector, so it's not the same means, and it's to be able to. But I feel that there is a good representation in the UK. There is a good representation in Europe as well in terms of managing that.
Talking about rework, when vehicles return to a workshop after repair, what are the most common causes, do you see? So is it parts, the process, misdiagnosis?
First of all, every garage owner hates that.
Yeah.
That's for sure. And when we do, for example, focus groups with them on very specific parts and trying to understand why they use that type of brands or that type of brand, always the same thing that comes back is I don't want any people coming back to me. I've been building my business, my customer base for the last 20 years. I used to deal with their father's car. Now I'm dealing with their the grandchildren cars, and I don't want that. I want them to trust me. So that's definitely very important. I think, and I don't have so much stats on the rework and car coming back, but I think some that are key are around braking especially, and squeaking, noisy brakes. I think is definitely one that comes back often.
Okay.
Yeah, we
had that on the cross then.
Yeah, we had that on the cross. And we had once you get a brake and it's not right, even after repair, it is time to worry, because obviously it's the major part. That's the easy part over the podcast. So now we're getting on to EVs and hybrids, which I can see you, yes, you're nodding your head. Oh, he's ready to tell this.
He's ready.
Right. So obviously at the moment, many garages, some aren't even doing EVs, which again is probably alienating customer databases because customers have EVs and hybrids these days and as well as ICEs. So what's the realistic timeline of the percentage of EV work and hybrid work that you think people have got now and what they should be looking to get in the next 2 years?
That's the £1 billion pound question, that question.
If you can answer it and we get $1 billion, do we get a fee?
I don't know who's funding it, but I mean, it depends. If you need to look as a garage within your area. Okay, because someone, and really down to the postcode, I think is the right level of granularity to look at. We are lucky enough in the UK to have very good car park statistical base that you can access from the government, and you can do that at postcode level, and you can have quite a good level of granularity as well. So I think this is the first thing to do, really. Look in your area, because if you look in the southeast, in London or in Edinburgh, it's not going to be the same. And there isn't one answer that fits all. It's really looking in your area. Does it make sense or not to do this?
The more countryside you go, the more it's going to be ICs. And
completely. So to me, that's really the first thing, because you don't want to overtrain or over-capitalize on this, and in the end you don't see those vehicles. Or on the contrary, you see too many of those vehicles and you're not ready. So I think it's finding that right balance to steer the business in the right direction.
But Matt Cleveley has built a business now, Cleveley EV, which we all know. How has he done that without looking at areas?
Potentially he did. I didn't ask him. Maybe he did. No, I think Matt was probably one of the first.
Yeah.
And because he was one of the first and potentially active on Tesla owners forums and things like this, that gave him that kind of extra mile ahead of everyone else. Okay. Now we are starting to enter into the early adopter, like kind of, we are in between early adopters and kind of mass adoption. So it's going to be harder to be seen as a specialist like Matt exactly. Yeah.
What's the percentage of EVs at the moment
on the roads?
Yeah,
it's about 3-4%.
And hybrids.
Hybrids, it depends if you take mild hybrids into account or not. The SMMT changed their mind. They changed the way they are reporting new car sales now. So it depends if you have that or not in mind. I think it's about 10%.
So
a bit less than that.
The easy thing to do then is say you've got 10 lanes in your garage. Surely at least 1 or 2 then should be hybrid and EV, just on them percentages.
A bit less than that.
A bit less. 1 or 2. You can't have less than 1.
Then don't look at 10 cars, to look at 100 cars then.
Okay.
If you look at 10 cars, that's the.
But you need at least 1 EV lane or hybrid lane these days, don't you?
Yeah. No, I think, and again, it depends. Do you want, as a business, are you ready to do that? Do you want to do it, or are you doing it because you feel obliged? I think it's 2 different things, and you need to, as a business, make the decision. So it's do your homework, if I can say that. Look at the area, and then decide based on that.
Are you feeling under pressure with TPMS? Choose AutoGem, the award-winning provider of aftermarket TPMS solutions and the key workshop consumables you use every day. Our iSensor TPMS tools and parts are some of the easiest to use. They're developed and manufactured in world-leading facilities, giving you a trusted all makes, all models solution. With award-winning training from decades of experience and taking over 600 support calls every month, we'll help you solve even the most awkward TPMS problems. Visit autogem.co.uk for more information and quote Garage Talk online when you contact us for exclusive offers.
When quality matters and emissions count, demand precision. BM Catalysts is Europe's leading manufacturer of aftermarket hot-end emissions products. From catalytic converters and OE-level components to expert technical training available on Garage Pro, BM delivers best-in-class manufacturing, rigorous performance, and full compliance. Need parts you can trust? Visit bmcats.com. Partner with BM. Drive profit, exceed expectations.
Talking about getting EV ready, what's the biggest mistake you think garages can make trying to get EV ready? Is it just not looking at that data, or?
I think assuming the job is I'm gonna get trained and the job is going to come straight away. I think it's definitely one. I think we are getting again in that kind of closer to the mass adoption. So we will see more and more elder electric cars on the roads, and so definitely we are going in the direction where there will be more and more electric cars entering the workshops. Okay. So we can't go backward on that. It's going to happen. Now the question is how fast and are we ready for it, and do we really want to do it or not?
Okay.
Brilliant. So if you're in a city, get an EV lane. There you go. Which EV and hybrid related jobs do you expect independents to win, and which are most likely to stay with dealers?
Tires. If you look at tires, for example, dealers have always been bad at selling tires.
Because they sell any tire, it's a specific EV tire, isn't there?
It's not even the fact that it's specific tires. It is. You have a specific tire model, but it's also when in the life of the car, in the age of the car, that first change arrive. around 3-4 years for normal cars, ICE vehicles. What seems to be the case when we look at MOT data is that the failure rate of EVs when they are presented for their very first MOT is higher than ICE presented for their first MOT. Okay. So I think that means just that they should have changed a bit earlier their tires. Those vehicles are still very young, so generally should go back to the dealer because of the warranty and so on. However, dealers are not so good at selling tires, and therefore there is an opportunity for independent garages to look at that. So to me, that's definitely one. Then again, if you look at the type of operation, and again, looking at MOT data, we can clearly see that steering, suspension component are impacted, potentially because of the weight of the vehicle, the fact that, and the weight of the battery in the end, that's the reason why. And maybe those parts were not manufactured how they should have been, and whether it wasn't thought through, and therefore it might fail a bit earlier. Because if you look at it, MOT cars that are EV are about 4 years old on average. ICE MOT'd cars are on average a bit over 10 years, and yet they've got about the same distribution of failure within. So it's interesting.
It is.
I'm mesmerised, I have to be honest with this. It's a fascinating.
This is the quietest Ben's ever been.
It's brilliant. So on to ADAS now.
So ADAS calibration, is that becoming more essential for independents, or can most kind of refer it out and still thrive? Is it something we need to adopt?
ADAS is an interesting question that we need to look at as a whole. If we look at electric cars, generally speaking, why are we going electric? To increase the air quality, or not getting it worse, I guess. We could say it like this. And also because it's greener, not only for the air quality, but it's greener because of the type of fuel, if we can talk about fuel, but the type of power that is being used, and so on. So all of this is great. But what we need to have in mind as well is that in order to be able for those vehicles to have a CO2 footprint that is better or lower than ICE vehicles, we need to use them, because manufacturing an electric car cost more, if I can say cost, in terms of CO2 footprint than manufacturing an ICE vehicle, because of the battery. Okay. Because of the extraction of the raw material, which are generally either in DRC or we've got some in Australia, or rare earth as well in Chile and so on. So that costs a lot of CO2, if I can say that. And how do you offset that CO2 is because of the usage. You've got a diagonal curve for ICE vehicle. You start, if you look at the CO2 footprint by mileage, it is a diagonal curve. It goes up. While you start higher with EV, and it's kind of almost a flat line. Okay. So what is very important, why I'm saying all of this, is because what is very important for EV is to last. You need to drive as many miles as possible to offset that production. Okay. And coming back to ADAS, the thing is, it all comes with the repairability of the vehicle. Okay. When an electric car has a potential crash, whether it's small or big, you've got ADAS that is involved. Okay. Which means that you need to recalibrate. And now the issue with ADAS, it's not a lot of people are able to do it. Not a lot of workshops are equipped to do it, which means that it is costing a bit of money to do so. And when the insurance is involved, they take that as another line of their budget and then of decision. Are we going to write off the vehicle, or are we going to decide to repair the vehicle? And if we are going to write off the vehicle, what was the point of having an electric car that only drove 40,000 miles and then is just being written off?
Writing off is okay. But what did you do with the battery then?
Exactly. So the ADAS, I wouldn't say because of ADAS we are writing off more electric cars, but it's an additional cost that will inform the decision of the insurance company.
Is it significantly higher for an EV to calibrate it than a normal?
So I think all in all, the ADAS is very important. I think not all workshops will be equipped with ADAS. I think we're going to see something similar than for body shops, which is in a given area, you will have a specialist which can help other workshops around with this, and we need quite a bit of them because the needs of ADAS is only going to increase as the electric car park is increasing.
So, garages. We need more investment in garages, to be fair. We have come a long way since the oily rag situation, and worried about where you're going to get on your clothes. But if garages can only invest 1 or 2 years this year to be future ready, what would you say to invest in training, tooling, safety and accreditation, or process?
That's a tough question. Training, I think training, because you need training to get your process right.
Yeah,
you need training to be able to operate the tools. So training, whether it's MOT training, whether it's EV training, business operation training, you need, as I was saying earlier, with mentorship and things like this, you need to invest on yourself. That sounds very much Instagram influencer to say that, trying to sell you some training. But I mean, that's what is important is, as a business and you as a person, as a business owner, you need to invest on yourself to make sure you can then reflect that on your business, on your people, and so on. So training first.
Training.
We have been tracking in our research for years the training level of independent garages versus dealers, national network, and so on. And for a long, long time, it was less that 50% of independent garages who had at least one person within the business who received training during the last 12 months.
Wow.
Okay. Wow. And since COVID, and therefore being stuck at home or you cannot get to the training center. Yeah. I think a lot of people took on training online, and online training became a bit more of, I wouldn't say a norm, but something more normal that people wouldn't do before. And that led them back to training centers as well to kind of have a good balance between what is very theoretical that I can do purely on my laptop versus what I need practicality and touch and do so. So I think COVID in that regard was a good thing.
Yeah, that's one thing. One good thing that came from COVID.
That's one thing we can take. We can give credit to that those difficult years, but definitely we see now that level of training at around 70-75% for independent garages. So definitely it had a positive impact, and I think in terms of academy, that's such a great idea.
That's been really fascinating, Quentin. We've got one more question for you to finish. It's a 3-parter.
Oh.
So advice to garages. What's one thing?
Take my pen.
One thing garages should stop doing, one thing they should start doing, and one thing they should do more of.
Like this without any preparation. What is it?
You can take a minute if you want.
Stop doing, I think, is assuming, it's kind of help wrapping up what we are saying, assuming on behalf of the driver what they need and what they want. I think it's important. Have a conversation with them. That's definitely one. Start speaking with the customer more and making sure to get the things right. Yeah. But also, I think there are easy wins in terms of customer relationship that are just very simple that you can do. You had the car coming in for an MOT last year. Just look at the expiry date, give a call, send a text message, whatever operationally is the simplest and maybe the cheaper for you to do as a business. But those kind of little things, I think too often we want to have very complex thoughts and thinking, okay, to be successful, I need to have that perfect equation, right? But no, actually, go back to customer relation 101 and just take that and just make sure that those little things, you do it. If you are saying, I don't know, the car is booked in for 3:00, don't make the person wait until 3:30 to get the keys. It's that kind of just little things. I spoke too much. I can't remember what point 3.
One thing they should do more of.
By small gesture, I guess. Just don't take anyone for granted, and that works with customers, I think.
I like that. Awesome. The one thing I would say to that is have a coffee for the customer and Wi-Fi. Simple as that.
Wi-Fi is a quick win.
You know, something interesting that we see in our survey is that we look at that kind of thing, like with how is the waiting area and so on, and we compare that to people who went, or the feedback that drivers who went to the dealer versus the one who went to independent garage. And if you look at independent garages customer, that's a bonus. Like if you don't get the coffee, you're not going to increase the dissatisfaction of the customer. You're only going to increase the satisfaction.
Okay.
If you look at it, we need to look at it as a matrix, more or less, with 4 different squares. If you look at it from a dealer perspective, a dealer customer perspective, if you don't get coffee when you get there, you're going to increase the dissatisfaction simply because it's not there.
It's like expectations.
Exactly.
Isn't it? Yeah.
The expectations are much higher at that level. Again, if you look at something that sounds normal, but a clean place of repair. At garage level, independent garage level, it's a bonus factor. At dealer, it's a given. You need to have that. If you don't have a clean place, then you're increasing the dissatisfaction.
So many little things, I guess, that could be changed.
Completely.
An easy wins. Bit of Wi-Fi, bit of coffee.
Yeah.
I've been mesmerised, sir.
That's really informative.
That
Quentin.
is,
Thank you.
And like I say, you make statistics fun
That's
in a
good.
strange way. Quentin Le Hetet, you've been an absolute hero from Jeeper. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank
Thank you so
you.
much for having me.
I cut out a bit at the end there where you were like, wow.
The first time I saw Quentin was at the Schaeffler Rep Expert Conference 2 years ago, wasn't it? And when you see, it's a guy about numbers in the industry, you think, that's nice. Switch off. But I think how he does it and what he presents is facts that you need to understand.
Yes.
Not know, understand.
This is what it means. This is what you should be thinking about because of it.
And obviously we're talking to garages, and the thing I think for garages then, they can plan. So they can plan an EV, 1 or 2 ramps, they can plan hydrogen, they can plan hybrid, they can plan ICE, how long they need them ramps for.
Do their research, look at
Yes.
their postcodes. I mean, so many tips in here. Yeah. Thank you so much, Quentin.
Yeah,
It was really,
thank
really
you.
good
I'm
chat.
sorry about the assault before you came in.
Stop talking about it.
Right, that's all for this episode. A huge thank you to Quentin from Jeeper. You can find out more about the company at jeeper.eu.
And of course, another thank you to BM Catalysts for being this episode's sponsor, the UK and Europe's leading manufacturer of
Catalytic converters.
DPFs and front pipes. You can find out more at bmcats.com.
And of course, this is going out well with UK GBE, so do come and talk to us on our stand if you're listening now at L60. And also find out how you can appear on our podcast, radio station, or YouTube channel. Finally, thank you so much to you, the listener. If you did enjoy today's conversation, don't forget to follow Garage Talk Unwrapped on your favourite podcast platform and hit that bell so you never miss an episode.
Ring ding! Next time, we're talking to Toby and Holly from Frasley Mobility UK about braking and bearings and all of their different brands.
And that was a mad day. Bye for now.
Bye!